segment number 2 of the Cummins Real Estate Group show with Michelle Cummins and myself, Curtis Pope. Now, once again, Michelle, you have a few tickets to give away to that Bandits game tomorrow night. And how can people possibly try to get their name and to win them?
Text me right now during our show at 778-885-4659.
All right. And that number one more time.
778-885-4659.
I'd make you do it again, but that would just be repetitive.
Oh, my gosh. 1 p.m. tomorrow, and it's air-conditioned in there. So, hey, watch the first pro basketball playoff game for the Bandits.
And nice, cool comfort out from the heat.
Exactly.
Away from the heat and the smoke. All right. So I can't remember what you told me the topic was earlier. What's our topic for the second segment?
So the second segment's going to be a lot of information for buyers, which is also on the flip side good for sellers, because if you're a seller, you may be a buyer. Most likely you will be. So we have livability factors when buying. So want to make sure that you think of those aspects, as well as the 6 most important things to think about when you're buying, and mortgage pre-approval, what you need to know. So let's start off with the livability factors when buying. Okay, so there's many things to consider, of course, when you're choosing a home. Obviously, I mean, there's so much you're thinking of. You have to get down to the basics. And first thing is location. Location is key when searching for a home, as it is the one thing you cannot change unless you sell it later on if you don't like your location. So try not to get too caught up in the emotional side of the house hunt, which is hard to do, I know, but you don't want to overlook important factors related to location, such as how busy the street is, what the noise levels are like in the area, and the future of the neighborhood. So those are just some factors. I always say to my buyers, why don't you go knock on the doors of the neighbors and just kind of see how they are. Maybe go and have a look in the evening and sit on the street and just see it as people go by, and on the weekends, and see what it's like. And so really get to know, and not just the street and the neighborhood, but the area as well. And make sure you know things like, is there train tracks close by? Is there a racetrack close by? Anything that may cause noise at times that you may not want noise, or you may be okay with it. But just knowledge is important, and location. And then proximity to services and work. When house hunting, take into consideration the potential home's proximity to different amenities, because we're all about quality of life, and we live in a 8-second world. But you want to think about, what about hospitals and grocery stores, nice restaurants, other shops. Think about how you live your daily life, how you foresee living your daily life, what you want your daily life to look like, and really take that into consideration. Drive the area, know how long your work distance is, and what the changes of traffic may look like on that street. Are there some back streets to go? What if you need to pick up some dinner, the schools for the kids? There's so many factors, especially if you're a parent, and you just want to make sure that you know proximity to all the places that you may have to go, because sometimes you fall in love with the place. And you fall in love with, let's say, the views or the neighborhood or the area, the community, but then you go, I can handle that drive. Oh, yeah, that would be no problem. And then you get into it and you realize, maybe I should have reconsidered. This drive is a lot longer than I'd like, or whatnot. So really consider that as well.
If the drive is longer than you planned, then just pick up a motorbike.
Oh, it's so true. Words of wisdom by Curtis Pope.
It worked for you.
It did. And lifestyle is a huge factor to consider when house hunting. If you're an outdoorsy person, I always ask, what are your hobbies? What do you like? Do you like golfing, skiing? What are some of your hobbies? Do you play basketball? Do you have, a baseball team you're involved with? What are those things? Do you like hiking, canoeing, boating, all that stuff? So you want to think of lifestyle. and choose places that are hopefully close to like that, like bike trails and green spaces, lakes, because again, time is precious, and if you love doing those things, but they're too far away all the time, you'll never get to do them. So think lifestyle and current status and future plans. So taking your current status and your future plans into consideration when house hunting is essential. I usually ask, is this going to be a 2-year, a 5-year home? It's usually 5 years or so. Is it going to be a 10-year or 20-year home? Is this the home you want to start raising or having kids and raising your kids in and like long-term home? So that's really important to consider and think about. So those are the livability factors when buying that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good tips there. And I mean, there's certain things that you don't think about too, like by moving, are you moving your kid out of their school catchment and things like that, or how are things like that going to play out too?
Exactly, and you thought you had to think of that too, and it was a family decision. Your kids, are old enough where they needed to be part of that decision-making process, and that's really important for everyone to be on the same page and to understand. And if you're thinking that you're going to be growing out of a place, I have clients right now. They're in a place that is a bit too small for them, and they know they need something bigger. And their kids are just at the age where if they do it now, they may not be mad at them later on, if you know what I mean. Because once they get to a certain age, they have their friendships built up, and there's different aspects to the relationships when you move your kids from a catchment to catchment. So something to consider if your kids are younger. If it's bound to happen sooner than later, it's better to do it sooner than later. That's for sure. Okay, the 6 most important things you need to know to buy a home in Canada. Number 1, have more than a down payment. So there's a structure that Canada has as far as down payments, and if you are buying under $500,000, you only need 5% down. But a lot of people don't know that the government has rules about purchase prices and percentages of your down payment, what's minimum provided. Between $500,000 and $1 million, you actually need 10% on that difference. And if you're buying over $1 million, you need 20%. So definitely think of that. So make sure you have that prepped. And number 2, get pre-approved for a mortgage. We've said this how many times, Curtis?
You know what? That has been one of those incredibly common themes over the years.
It sure has, and it's so very important because they can hold the best rates for minimum 120 days, and if they go up, you're protected. If they go down, you get the benefit of them going down. I just got an investment property, and I got a variable rate, 5-year with 30-year amortization for 1.47%. down. Love it.
Yeah, I remember when we got ours. I remember we got, I think our first approval was for 1.89, and then when we finally did get the house and everything, and we went for the final paperwork, I remember Jamie came back and said, "Hold on, the bank is coming back with a lower interest rate for you." And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Bonus. Like a surprise gift.
Yeah, it was like, what do you mean they're coming back with a lower interest rate? What, are they going to pay me to use the bank now? What's going on?
See, and if you hadn't been pre-approved, if it had gone up, it would not have been good. Have been good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the 4th tip, check out first-time home buyer incentives. If you're a first-time home buyer, they're always changing the incentives, and there's a lot of great stuff to be had. So the Canadian government offers the first-time home buyers incentive, and it's a loan to encourage and to achieve home ownership for first-time home buyers. So 5% of the purchase of a resale home, 5 or 10% of the price of a newly constructed home, and the loan is interest-free and repaid at any time within 25 years or when the home is sold. This is kind of a newer incentive they have. As well, of course, you can borrow from your RRSPs up to $35,000 interest-free as well to boost your down payments. So there are some options to really help those first-time home buyers get in the market sooner than later, because as we've said 100 million times on this show too, Curtis, is of course our equity builds up in this Fraser Valley, Vancouver area. Very short term do we have a little dip in the market, and it always goes up. Trajectory is always up. So get in the market sooner than later, and that's the way you can do it. And then number 5, work with a real estate agent. and not just any real estate agent, but a tried, true one that you can trust and have faith in. You know that they are working for your benefit on your behalf, and that they have the support and the education and the knowledge and the energy to really work for you like they're working for themselves. So definitely get a real estate agent. One of the first things you do, they can advise you so much, so early on for you, and save you a lot of stress and hassle and unknowns. And number 6, do a home inspection. And even in a seller's market, even if it's multiple offers, you can get a home inspection done. Typically, a lot of people who want to do home inspections will do them before even putting in an offer when it's multiple offers. And that way they're prepared and they know. And for you as a seller, it makes it more confident offer from that buyer because they know exactly what they're getting. So it works good on both sides. But don't skip that as a buyer. My advice, don't skip it, because you never know. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, and you don't know it unless you've checked it. So home inspections. So those are the 6 most important things to think about. And quickly, I think the mortgage pre-approval, we've really talked about that, and there's just 3 main requirements that you need for pre-approval. The lender will check your employment history. The lender will check your credit score. The lender will check your assets and your debts. So those are those 3 things that they'll check on. So in preparation to getting pre-approved, just know that those are the things that they will check on.